Hello, and welcome to Know Before You Buy, the things we love and hate. Today, I'm going to talk to my friend Heidi again. This is part 2 of the first episode of the Know Before You Buy series. And in this series, we're going to talk about things Heidi encounters outside of her home. Sit back and enjoy.
The other example that I can think of that is my treadmill. And, I have this great treadmill that I love. Frankly, I love it. It's a Nordic track treadmill. It's an incline trainer. I've wanted one of these for years. But I cannot use it independently because it's a complete touch screen, and it's called iFit enabled. So it has this, it's kind of, think of like a Peloton, right? So it's similar to a Peloton, but it's a different program,
different ecosystem, maybe some better privacy, and
right.
Security of your own data.
Let's hope, right?
Yeah.
But this treadmill, I mean, you could wonder, like, why in the heck would I buy such like this high-end treadmill that I can't use, right? Like, that seems kind of stupid. But what I needed from it is so unique in that treadmill, that I couldn't find that anywhere else. And so that's, I was like, no, I want to be able to do this in the hopes that someday, as I work with this treadmill and send letter by letter to the company, they might figure out that this is worth changing.
And let's be clear that we are going to do a video on this, like a full targeted video, when we have the ability to once be in each other's homes for extended periods of time.
I know. Right. Yeah. This treadmill would be a good one to do it on because it is so inaccessible, but it doesn't have to be, right? I mean, that's the thing.
And let's focus on your need a bit. So, back to the too long did not read. You're a former marathon runner. I think, if I remember correctly, you've run 3 or 4 marathons that I know of, and probably more.
I ran the Honolulu Marathon. And then that's the most long distance run I've done. I've done shorter runs, and I got to tell you, I'm old now, so I don't run like I used to, but I do a lot of, race walking and things like that. And so what I will say is what I needed about this treadmill are the ability to climb steep hills. And, you can have inclines on other treadmills, but this one has even more of that ability. And so that was something, if I was going to be walking and I wanted to get my heart rate up like I was running, I needed to walk hills.
Yeah. And that's something that you could do without a treadmill, but, we don't have time to always go out and get a guide to help us do the training in real life. So a treadmill is an essential tool, really.
For me, yes, it has been, something that I've had forever. Like, I've always had a treadmill because I don't want to have to find someone to run with me. And maybe we don't run at the same pace, or maybe I don't want to be around people at that time.
You spend all day, every day around people. Let's give you your 20 minutes to an hour of exercise time where you can
yes.
Right.
And yes.
And we go back to this particular treadmill, and you can't, because you have to get somebody to come and start it up for you.
Right.
And if something changes.
So either my husband or my 14-year-old will set it up for me. I do my workout, and then I have to get them to come back and save the workout. Otherwise, because you know me, Lucy, I want credit for it, right?
Well, everybody needs credit, Heidi.
So then I need to have her come back, or my husband come back and save it so that I can,
Yeah. And if their hands are full or they're in the far part of the house, you got to keep working out, even though you might be at the end of your setting. I mean,
exactly.
Heaven forbid you stop and it goes away.
No, we wouldn't want that to happen.
Yeah. And it's a really frustrating thing, I think. I mean,
yeah. So it's definitely like, being able to work out and exercise independently is, for me, something that I think is so important. And I think being fit and feeling fit is important. And it's something that we, as people who can't see, don't always get to do. And whether it's in a gym or, walking or whatever it is, I think there's so many sighted people can make a choice to do an exercise video, or, oh, I'm going to just to watch that workout on YouTube, or whatever it is. But I don't think we have that option in the same way at all.
I would tend to agree with you and push it one step further in that, people who are blind and visually impaired tend to not actually get the same access to exercise.
Right.
And we tend to be, physically less fit in general.
Yes, exactly.
I have a few friends that aren't that way, but,
right.
They fight for it tooth and nail.
And you have to make concessions, right? And so in order to have that, you have to be willing to say, well, okay, then I am going to just have the thing that I need for my body and still get some help with it. Or I'm going to have a sighted friend help me through this workout video so I know how to do it, or, whatever it is. But there's nothing there. Let me rephrase that. There are very few things that are sort of out of the box accessible when it comes to fitness that I know of.
Exactly. I would tend to agree with you. In fact, a group of us here in San Francisco wanted to go out and do some horseback riding.
Yeah.
And the one stable that's actually, one we can get to using public transit specifically and boldly says on their website, we will not allow people who are blind or physically handicapped on our horses.
Oh.
And wow. The fact that they call that out on their website is, first of all, brave of them.
Right.
But,
right.
Yes, it's not great exercise, but I want to go riding a horse down the beach. I think that'd be beautiful. And, because this stable has that restriction on their website, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah. So you have to be willing to overcome some barriers in order to be fit. And so it makes sense to me that people feel like, hey, sometimes it's just not worth it, or it's too hard.
Exactly. We can't go down to the park in downtown city, whatever we live in, and run on the running paths because there are, first of all, other people there and we don't want to walk into them.
Right.
There are tree roots and lumps and things like that, a sighted person just automatically instinctively, runs around, but we can't just go running around that item and go through the track. It's just not safe for us. And people say, well, they're now training guide dogs to go running, but that's not fair for my guide dog to expect for me to expect them to guide me through everything I do during the day, and then take a dog that's not meant to be a distance runner and have it run with me. Dogs are sprinters. They're not distance runners.
It's interesting. My husband and I were talking about this recently because we're thinking about when we can travel again, and he's a runner, way more of a runner than I am. He's a natural born runner. For me, I have to kicking and screaming, get my body to run. Right. And he's very naturally gifted at that. So one of his joys is when we go to new cities, finding a new place to go running. For him, that's a way to explore a place and get a sense of it. And I know wherever we go on vacation in the mornings, he's going to get up and go for a run. And that's a privilege.
It is a privilege. It's a massive privilege. And then, you're in the hotel waiting for him to come back from his run. And oh my God, you can't even pour coffee from the hotel coffee pot.
Yeah. I'm hoping he brings something back that's yummy.
Yeah, I bet you are. Or, say you wanted to watch the morning news. Well, you can't turn on the TV because, all you get when you hit the button that you finally think is power is the hotel advertising channel.
Right. And you're stuck there for a while trying to figure out the rest of it.
Yeah. And it's
or you want to change the thermostat in the room. That's always fun.
Oh, yes. Heaven forbid you want to be warm in a cold environment or cool in a hot environment.
Right.
Have you ever been in a hotel that had even shower controls that you couldn't interpret independently?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny. My husband and I have this rule that he takes the shower first in a new place so he can like give me the lay of the land, you know?
Exactly.
But if I'm traveling by myself, it's always an interest. I have to get up just a little bit earlier so that I can, you know, have time to figure that stuff out.
Turn the water on and let it get warm if you end up turning it to cold to begin with.
Yeah, or make sure I don't scald myself.
Yeah, or heaven forbid, you only had a carry on, so you don't have shampoo with you. Now you have to determine what those
Now you
little
have to know
bottles
which
are.
one's the shampoo. That's always fun. I tell my girls that it's like, let's play surprise, right? That's what we call it. Like, what's in this bottle?
Exactly. I mean, what I end up doing is the night before I go down to the front desk of the hotel and I say, could you give me a shampoo and conditioner? And I lie because I say it's because of my long hair. So they
Yeah.
hand me, I say, can you hand me like 6 or 7 bottles? And they go, okay. And they hand them to me and I go, okay, so now which one's this? Which
Yeah,
one's that? And then I put them in different pockets. And when I go back up to the room, I
You
put the
separate
shampoos
them.
in one place and the conditioners in another.
That's smart. You know what else is interesting about hotels? I don't know. I think I got us on this inadvertently, but
It's a good topic.
is the hotel key. Like,
oh yeah,
the card key, which way to put it in your door. I mean, I've learned to, when I check into a hotel, to say, can we put something on my key so I know which way to put it in the door? Whether it's a little piece of tape or, something like that, so that it's on the side that goes up when I'm putting it in my door. And that makes a huge difference. Otherwise I'm standing out there. Like, I remember this one time I was standing outside my hotel room trying to get in, and I had to go to the bathroom so badly. And I was like, I can't get my key to work. That's ridiculous.
You think you've gone all 8 ways because yes, it's not just 2 ways, it's 8 ways you have to go.
I tried. I really feel like I tried everything a million times and I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah. And because sometimes you have to hold it in place for a second and other times if you go too deep, it's thank God that a lot more hotels now are getting contact keys that you just tap and it doesn't matter what the orientation is, but
some have the keyless one that you can do on your phone.
Oh yeah, but let's talk about that, Heidi. Have you been ever able to do it very successfully on your phone?
No, I get excited about it and then I just, I actually have stopped using it and just gone back to using the little card key.
Yeah, I mean, because the little card key with its problems eventually works.
Eventually you're going to get in.
Yeah, but when you have an app,
you have to like go to the bathroom so badly that you can't focus on how to get your key in the lock.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to an app, I mean, let's talk about a concept, but the concept is flawed in so many ways because they never tested it with a screen reader. They never gave you the ability to make sure that the buttons do what they say or that the buttons are even in the swipe order.
Right.
Yeah, it's it kind of sucks to be blind sometimes.
There are definitely moments, yes, for sure, where it's not easy.
Yeah.
I think that's why they call it a disability, just not by me.
So we're getting close to the end of our conversation. It really does. And, we've covered so many areas I didn't even dream we'd cover.
Oh, my mind is all over.
But it's such good content, Heidi. I mean, if you had a person who was newly blinded, what would you want to tell them, going forward about, getting back to being a person who's active and busy and happy? You've lost your vision. What would be the 1 or 2 things that you'd want them to know about the future?
Well, first of all, the future is bright and there's a lot out there and life can be very active and fulfilling. And I think it's also about learning how to tune out the voices of people that tell you that you can't do something and how to tune in the voices of people that tell you that you can, even if it's not obvious to you right away. And that takes some doing, and it takes time to learn how to do that. And, because sometimes those voices of people that tell you that you can't are people that you love and that are really close to you. And, those are that can be surprising sometimes. So I think it's really being strong in the fact that this is about what I need to learn how to do and what I can do, and not about what I can't do. Because most sighted people have no concept of what people that are blind can do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that immensely because, you know, we are both very lucky in that our spouses do let us try things. They don't care. They don't care if they think we can't do it. They don't tell us what they
I'm
think.
sure they must have conversations though among the two of them, like, what are they? What's wrong with that?
Exactly. But, you know, a lot of blind people don't have these, you know, open-minded people around them. And it's really, really key. And you're right. Some of the people that are really close to me don't even realize how damaging their negativity can be on these things. You know, there's people who've known me for years who still reach out and grab me as I'm stepping out into the street.
Yeah.
I want to step out into the street. Yeah.
The other thing I will say though, Lucy, is on the practical side of things for folks that are newly blind, is it really is important to get your skills like that. I don't feel like that can be overstated, because it can be
100%, maybe 1000%. Yes.
It's hard, right? It's not easy. There's a reason it's called rehabilitation. It's very difficult. And if it's easy, you're not doing it right. So, I mean, I think learning how to use your cane, learning how to find ways to read, if it's not Braille and it's audio, great, but figure out what those methods are going to be for you so that you have access to what's going on in the world, and that you're not feeling isolated. And, you know, so getting your skills up. And for me, my phone and having access to lots of apps has been a game changer for me. So I would say learning how to use something like that, some kind of a smartphone that can get you to some apps that can help, is essential.
Yes, 100%. I mean, just find some tools. And I'm going to recommend 2 ways to do that. You know, unless you're living in that very rural, 20 miles away, Montana type situation, there are going to be other people who are blind in your community. You've got to find ways to find them. And, you know, service organizations exist everywhere. I mean, here in the Bay Area, we have tons of them.
Right.
But, you know, even if it's getting a friend of yours until you learn how to use the computer to go online and type in, you know, service for the blind, and then your zip code, and you should be able to find something.
Yeah.
But don't just count on the agencies, because sometimes the agencies themselves are very enabling. And, you know, very few of these agencies, for example, have blind people in all levels of administration and all levels of, you know, support of the clients. It's key to also have somebody who's not, it's their job to give you that information. It's key to have friends that you can go to and say, wasn't that a horrible thing? Or, you know, I need a tool to be able to peel a potato properly. You know, which potato peeler do you like?
I mean, how many times do we talk about that kind of stuff, or just how stupid sometimes sighted people can be, right? Like, we can have very frank conversations that in other situations would be considered really awful because we're talking about how stupid sometimes sighted people are. But you've got to have community. Everyone who is marginalized, especially, I mean, we all need community. We're social people. Exactly. But marginalized folks that live in these minority statuses, it's essential that you have people that you can go to.
And diversity within those minorities, is with those people who are like you. You know, it's okay to have one of those good blind friends be somebody who's just newly blinded like you.
Right.
You know, because then you have very similar things that are happening to both of you, and you can at least sympathize and have somebody to, you know, cry on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's also good to have experienced blind people around you who can say, you know, come on, fool, start using your cane. Or, you know, I've really found a cane as a really helpful tool. I mean, you've got to have all of those things. You can't just have,
Yeah.
the agency that's being paid to serve you. It's
Right.
important to have those friends and community. I have a really, really rich community of blind people. And for me, when I find out somebody new is in the area, the first thing I do is drag them into my community.
Yeah. That's how I got there. I didn't know a lot of blind people until I met Lucy, and now I know a ton.
Yeah, and some of them you might be better off not knowing, but others are really, really valuable. So
but that's the way the world works, right? Like, blind or not, you're always going to have people that you feel like you gel with and people you don't.
Exactly. And the only way you're going to find out if you do is if you reach out and try.
Right.
It's just keep trying, keep pushing.
Yeah. It's the name of the game.
Exactly. So I think we're going to draw to the end of this conversation. It's been so energizing, Heidi. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you for asking. It was so fun to be here.
Thank you for joining us today for the Know Before You Buy, Things We Love and Hate. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Heidi, and I hope you have some good takeaways from today's talk. I know I do. I know, for example, that I don't really want her treadmill, and her refrigerator is really tough and hard to use. I'm thinking of some ideas for her stovetop, and hope to talk to you all about those in the near future. Please click subscribe and let me know how you liked this. Tell me what else you'd like to have me do for you. If there's anybody who thinks you have some interesting appliances or tools that you use, get in touch and let's do your own Know Before You Buy podcast.